Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates a global conference on cooperatives in New Delhi, launches the 2025 UN International Year of Cooperatives. Winter session of India's Parliament begins. Prime Minister Modi urges the opposition to allow Parliament to function smoothly. Connectivity to be at the core of India-Mediterranean engagement, says the country's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. And in cricket, Captain Jasprit Bumrah steers India to its biggest test win on Australian soil. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the ICA Global Cooperative Conference 2024 in New Delhi. With the theme Cooperatives Build Prosperity for All, the conference aligns with India's Sehkar Se Samriddhi vision. The Prime Minister also launched the UN International Year of Cooperatives 2025, themed Cooperatives Build a Better World. The Prime Minister was also unveiled a commemorative postal stamp symbolizing India's commitment to the cooperative movement. Addressing the event, the Prime Minister said that India's experiences will provide new tools of the 21st century and spirit to the global cooperative movement.
ग्रामीण भारत के करीब 98% हिस्से को कोऑपरेटिव्स कवर करती हैं। करीब 30 करोड़ 300 मिलियन लोग, यानी हर 5 में से एक भारतीय सहकारिता सेक्टर से जुड़ा है। शुगर हो, फर्टिलाइजर्स हो, फिशरीज हो, मिल्क प्रोडक्शन हो, ऐसे अनेक सेक्टर्स में कोऑपरेटिव्स की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है।
Prime Minister Modi also added that India is following the mantra of prosperity through cooperation.
भारत में सहकारिता ने विचार से आंदोलन, आंदोलन से क्रांति और क्रांति से सशक्तिकरण तक का सफर किया है। साथियों, आज भारत में हम सरकार और सहकार की शक्ति को एक साथ जोड़कर भारत को विकसित बनाने में जुटे हैं। हम सहकार से समृद्धि के मंत्र पर चल रहे हैं।
The winter session of India's Parliament commenced on Monday but faced early disruptions, leading to the adjournment of both houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha, which is the lower house of India's Parliament, was adjourned minutes after Speaker Om Birla read obituary references. The opposition created a ruckus in the Rajya Sabha, the upper house, and demanded a discussion on the Adani indictment issue, leading to an adjournment. The third session of the 18th Lok Sabha and the 266th session of the Rajya Sabha will see the introduction of at least 16 bills. These include the Muslim Waqf Repeal Bill 2024 and the Waqf Amendment Bill. 5 other bills are listed for introduction and passing in both houses. The 5 new bills include Merchant Shipping Bill, Coastal Shipping Bill, Indian Ports Bill, Punjab Courts Amendment Bill and the Rashtriya Sehkari Vishwavidyalaya Bill. The session will last till the 20th of December and have 19 sittings. And Prime Minister Modi addressed the media ahead of the start of the session. He said that this parliamentary session is special in many ways, with the most significant aspect being the 75th anniversary of the Constitution. He launched himself into a sharp critique of the opposition parties, accusing them of resorting to disruptive tactics in Parliament.
पीड़ा की बात यह है कि जो नए सांसद होते हैं, नए विचार, नई ऊर्जा लेकर के आते हैं, और ये किसी एक दल में नहीं, सभी दल में आते हैं, उनके अधिकारों को कुछ लोग दबोच देते हैं। सदन में बोलने का उनको अवसर तक नहीं मिलता है। लोकतांत्रिक परंपरा में हर पीढ़ी का काम है आने वाली पीढ़ियों को तैयार करे।
The Prime Minister urged the opposition to allow Parliament to function smoothly. He hoped that Parliament's time will be put to use for enhancing India's global reputation and prestige.
मैं आशा करता हूं कि ये सत्र बहुत ही परिणामकारी हो, संविधान के 75वें वर्ष की शान को बढ़ाने वाला हो, भारत की वैश्विक गरिमा को बल देने वाला हो, नए सांसदों को अवसर देने वाला हो, नए विचारों का स्वागत करने वाला हो। इसी भावना के साथ मैं फिर एक बार सभी माननीय सांसदों को उमंग और उत्साह के साथ इस सत्र को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए निमंत्रित करता हूं, स्वागत करता हूं।
India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that the new element of the relationship between India and the Mediterranean would be connectivity, emphasizing that the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor can be a game changer.
The IMEC, the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor that was announced in September 2020 can be a game changer. The conflict underway currently in the Middle East has undoubtedly been a major complication, but it is proceeding, the IMEC is proceeding ahead on the eastern side, especially between India and the UAE and Saudi Arabia. I also flag your attention to the I2U2 grouping of India, Israel, UAE and the US, expected to be more active in times to come.
In his opening remarks at the MED Mediterranean Dialogue Conference in Rome on Monday, the minister highlighted the growing significance of connectivity in global relations, especially in the context of the ongoing conflict in West Asia and its impact on the region.
India unequivocally condemns terrorism and hostage-taking. It also regards large-scale civilian casualties in military operations to be unacceptable. International humanitarian law cannot be disregarded. In immediate terms, we should all support a ceasefire. India has also extended relief directly and through UNRWA.
Meanwhile, Minister Jaishankar met with his British counterpart David Lammy in Rome on Monday. Minister Jaishankar appreciated the contributions and the momentum in the India-UK Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. Along with ongoing developments in the Indo-Pacific and West Asia, the two ministers discussed cooperation in technology, green energy, trade and mobility. Minister Jaishankar is on a 3-day official visit to Italy, where he will also take part in the outreach session of the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting. In other news, lawmakers from Georgia's ruling party opened the first session of the country's parliament on Monday after last month's disputed election, defying protesters outside and a boycott by opposition parties who say the vote was illegitimate. Official results for the 26th October election show the ruling Georgian Dream Party re-elected with almost 54% of the vote, a result that opposition parties have said was fraudulent. Observers said that the election was marked by violations which could have had an impact on results, though they stopped short of saying the vote was stolen. Western countries have said that allegations of voter fraud must be investigated. Opposition parties had vowed to prevent the ruling Georgian Dream Party from convening a new parliamentary session and declared that they would boycott the new parliament. A Romanian hard-right NATO critic and centre-right opposition party leader will likely face each other in an 8th December presidential runoff vote in an unexpected outcome that threatens Romania's staunchly pro-Ukraine stance. With 99.9% of votes counted, 62-year-old hard-right Călin Georgescu had 22.9%, while centre-right contender Elena Lasconi was second with 19.16%. Lasconi pushed ahead of leftist Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu, who was a clear favourite to win the first round, propelled by strong support from Romanian voters living abroad. Romania's president has a semi-executive role that gives him or her control over defence spending, likely to be a difficult issue as Bucharest comes under pressure to uphold NATO spending goals during Donald Trump's second term as US president, while trying to reduce a heavy fiscal deficit. Uruguay's centre-left opposition candidate Yamandu Ori secured a victory in the presidential election with 99% of votes tallied in a second-round race. Orsi secured a small but comfortable margin of 49.81% of the vote to conservative Alvaro Delgado's 45.9%. Orsi addressed thousands of his Broad Front party supporters in Montevideo after the results. Alvaro Delgado conceded the election, swiftly congratulating Orsi and offering to help with the transition after results signaled a victory for the centre-left. Uruguay's president and Delgado's fellow National Party member Luis Pu also conceded defeat. Orsi, Delgado and Luis Pu expressed goodwill for their political opposition and pledged to work together. After more than a year into the Israel-Hamas conflict, calls for ceasefire can be heard from all corners. Reports say that Israel is moving towards a ceasefire agreement with the Hezbollah in Lebanon. U.S. mediator Amos Hochstein highlighted progress in negotiations during a visit to Beirut last week. Israeli media reported that Netanyahu had convened a meeting of his security cabinet. But a separate report from Israel's public broadcaster Khan said that there was no green light given on an agreement in Lebanon, with issues still to be resolved. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell has said that a US ceasefire proposal was awaiting final approval from Israel on his visit to Lebanon. Borrell said that the EU was ready to allocate $208 million to support the Lebanese army.
These last days, it seemed that the ceasefire is coming, but it's not coming. Someone is not interested in it. And everybody should understand that the ceasefire is absolutely needed, because the Lebanon capacity is to continue taking care of their people, in spite of the great efforts of these medical doctors, nurses, and hospital organizations, has a limit.
3 people have been arrested in the United Arab Emirates in connection with the murder of an Israeli citizen. The UAE ministry statement did not give details on the suspects or say if they had been charged, but said all legal powers would be used to respond decisively and without leniency to any actions or attempts that threaten societal stability. Zvi Kogan was a resident of the UAE and also a Moldovan national. He worked with the New York-based Orthodox Jewish Chabad movement and was first reported missing on Thursday. His body was discovered on Sunday. Kogan's body was found in the Emirati city of Al Ain, which borders Oman. The body of the murdered Israeli citizen was to be repatriated to Israel on Monday. Right now, take a look at what else is making news around the world. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim signed agreements to collaborate on critical minerals and defense, including upgrading Malaysia's Air Force jets. The two leaders committed to finalizing a free trade agreement by 2025, covering services, investments and green energy. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez on Monday named Sara Eguiguren as the country's new Energy and Environment Minister. Meanwhile, former Environment Minister Teresa Ribera has been appointed as Vice President of the European Commission. A cargo plane operated by Swift Airline crashed into a house near Vilnius Airport in Lithuania, killing one person and injuring 3 crew members. 12 residents were evacuated and all inside the house survived. Authorities are investigating the crash. And still to come on DD India Live. Pakistan brokers a ceasefire between rival sectarian groups in the country's northwest. And President Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines vows to fight back against threats to his life.
He's an author, a thinker, and a scholar of international relations. Why are these 7 friends of India and why not the others?
They are partners, but they are very strategic partners. If you want to stretch the friends analogy, they are best friends or maybe best friends forever for India. All the elements we have to be an equal of China and of the United States. We have the population, we have the size, we have the geopolitical location in the heart of the Indian Ocean region.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese played down privacy concerns regarding his government's proposed ban on social media for under-16s on Monday. Albanese said that firms would be required to destroy personal data used to verify ages of users. The laws would impact Meta's Instagram and Facebook, ByteDance's TikTok, and Elon Musk's X and Snapchat. The platforms face fines of up to $32 million for failing to comply with the legislation.
Because we're doing more than setting a new minimum age of 16 for social media, we are setting a new community standard, making it clear that social media companies have a social responsibility and sending a message to all those mums and dads who are worried about the impact that social media is having on their children's well-being, their mental health, their confidence and their sense of self. That message is simple. We are on your side. We've got your back.
President Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines on Monday vowed to fight back against what he called reckless and troubling threats against him. In a strongly worded video message addressing the nation, Marcos did not name Vice President Sara Duterte, his presidential running mate, but said that such criminal plans should not be overlooked. In a dramatic twist in fierce spat between Marcos and the powerful Duterte family, the daughter of firebrand former President Rodrigo Duterte on Saturday said that she had instructed an assassin to kill Marcos, his wife, and the Speaker of the country's lower house of legislature if she was assassinated. Taiwan said that it had detected a Chinese balloon over waters northwest of the island, the first such sighting since April, as Beijing maintains pressure on Taipei to accept its claims of sovereignty. Beijing regularly deploys fighter jets, drones and warships around Taiwan and occasionally balloons as it keeps up military pressure. According to the Defense Ministry, the latest balloon was spotted on Sunday about 111 kilometers northwest of Keelung City at an altitude of 33,000 feet. It entered the island's air defense identification zone and disappeared at 8:15 p.m. local time. A Pakistani government team brokered a 7-day ceasefire on Sunday, ending violent clashes between rival sectarian groups in the country's northwest, which have left at least 68 people dead and dozens more injured. The violence, which began on Thursday with a gunman attack on civilian convoys, primarily targeted Shiite Muslims, leading to retaliatory attacks against Sunni residents. Mediators announced that both sides have agreed to the ceasefire with plans to extend it. The agreement also includes the exchange of prisoners, including women, and the return of the bodies of those killed. Meanwhile, a march by hundreds of supporters to demand the release of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan reached the fringes of Pakistan's capital Islamabad on Monday. Authorities have enforced a security lockdown for the last 2 days to block the protesters, whom Khan has called on to march on the country's parliament building for a sit-in, while highways into the city have been barricaded. Nepal's Environmental Department has urged people to avoid burning solid and plastic waste as air pollution worsens across the country, including Kathmandu Valley, where the AQI has risen up to 158, posing risks to sensitive groups. The Terai region and the Kathmandu Valley has seen a rise in pollution because of emissions from industries, vehicles, forest fires, open waste burning and construction dust. With air quality worsening, the department has issued a special advisory for children, the elderly, pregnant women and individuals with respiratory or heart conditions to take precautions. Now, COP29 is over, but where is climate diplomacy headed? What role, if any, does Germany play in the future of climate negotiations? DW's Warda Imran joins us from Berlin. Warda, how is Germany reacting to the $300 billion commitment made at the end of COP29?
Thanks for having me. Well, this year's COP climate talks wasn't business as usual for Germany. Following the collapse of the ruling coalition here, Chancellor Olaf Scholz bowed out from the summit and was absent in Baku from the climate negotiations. But Germany has, in recent times, ramped up their commitments to slash greenhouse gas emissions. At this climate summit, Germany did reinforce its dedication to climate policy, but had an overall very cautious approach when talking about finance. Comments on this topic have come mostly from the Green Party. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock pointed out that while Europe has to live up to its responsibility, and by this she means responsibility of historic emissions in the last 80 years or even longer, so Europe definitely has a global responsibility because of emissions. But the foreign minister cautioned against making promises Europe can't keep. And this notion has been repeated many times over. This promise of $300 billion by advanced countries for developing countries echoes the promise made of $100 billion in climate financing by advanced countries that was meant to start in 2020, but was actually realized for the first time just this year. So the reaction from Germany has been a bit cautious.
Also, Warda, how important is climate change for German citizens? Will this play a big factor in the upcoming election?
Yes, climate has become a top concern for many here, with many of the population saying global warming is the top environmental issue that worries them the most. A 2024 survey showed that 47% of Germans surveyed said that it would be the failure of the government and its people of Germany if they don't live up to the climate promises made in the past. In the same survey, only 30% of Germans said that they think this country is a leader in the fight against climate change. Compare this to China and India, where 75% and 73% respectively say their country is a leader in climate change. So this is definitely a policy concern and has become political. This is obvious with the Green Party having a big seat in the parliament here, but whether the Green Party and other environmentally friendly parties retain their position during the elections is a big question.
All right, we'll leave it there. Warda, thank you. Warda Imran reporting there from Berlin. Moving on, day 6 of IFFI opened with a masterclass on topics such as AI in cinema, the age of VFX in cinema and women in cinema. The red carpet will see the premiere of films such as The Rooster and American Warrior. With the conclusion of a film bazaar and a Creative Minds of Tomorrow, the focus now shifts to masterclasses and centenary celebrations of Safarnama, which is a tribute to 100 years of Indian cinema. Narasimha, an animated film by director Ashwin Kumar, was premiered under the Indian Panorama section at IFFI. DD India's Deepika had an exclusive chat with the producer and director of the film.
The action has begun on day 6 of International Film Festival of India, and under the Indian Panorama section, Narasimha is one of the 5 shortlisted films which will be premiered here in Goa, and we have the director Ashwin Kumar and the producer Ms. Shilpa with us. The film is one of the 5 films that has been shortlisted for this. What are your thoughts on this?
We are very grateful for Indian Panorama to have shortlisted us, because this is a dream come true on many regards, and Mahavatar Narasimha, the first animated feature to have made it this big, is fantabulous. It's a dream come true. Yes.
And when we talk about, the production of the movie, since you're the producer, and the challenge that you had, because we heard that more than 4 years were spent in making the film. How did you make it possible? What were the challenges that you yourself witnessed while making this special film in animation?
See, first of all, because this movie is all by heart, so all our artists were working all by heart, and there is no specific timeline you can give to a creative person, because this kind of theatre or animation has never been done before in India. So, and especially Corona came twice, and all our work was confidential, so people could not work from home, and they were at home, but they were getting full salaries because we didn't want to do that. So, money went a lot into this project, and then at the final step we had to go and raise funding for our project.
Very important to witness one change over here, because when we are talking about a modern concept like animation and connecting with that the history of India, how did you make it happen, and what was there right behind into your mind when you were conceptualizing the entire thing in your mind?
So the entire idea was to show this film in an animation style, because that is the most free style to be taking this kind of an expanded film, because this film requires a lot of exaggeration both in characters and drama, which can only be done through animation, and that is why I chose the animated medium. And since I've been into visual effects and animation myself, so it was a very natural way for me to go.
Animation is one step and AI is the other step when we talk about it. When you were tossed with the idea of having an animated movie of something which is historical and not mythological, as you say, what were your thoughts on having the animated series?
So AI is just starting, I would say, and a lot of new things are coming every single day. So our product is completely CG product, maybe like 97%, 3% AI we have used. But I think that's why it took us 4.5 years, because it's a very slow process. But in the coming projects, we will be using a lot of AI, and hopefully the time taken will be from 4 years till 2 years, because we have so much to make in such a span of like whatever we have. So hopefully AI is going to help a lot in future, and we are completely using that.
All right, so there you heard the director and producer of Narasimha who talk about the film which has been selected, one of the 5 films to be selected in an Indian Panorama. So do go and watch the movie. With camera person Ajit, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
In cricket, India's fast bowlers Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj took 3 wickets apiece as the tourists hammered Australia by 295 runs in the first test at Perth on Monday. Australia were bowled out for 238 runs after tea on day 4. Paceman Harshit Rana wrapped up Australia's innings to secure India's 1-0 lead in the 5-match series. Earlier, India set a massive target of 534 runs for the hosts to chase after centuries from Virat Kohli and Yashasvi Jaiswal. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and around the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.